My manipulative wife had an affair with my best friend and they're now trying for a baby just weeks after I caught them. The trouble in my wife and I's marriage started when my best friend broke up with his girlfriend because she cheated on him. He was pretty upset about it and took it hard. I talked to him, but my wife asked me one day if I cared if she went out for a coffee with him to talk and give him a woman's view. I told her that was fine with me. She and my best friend were also friends. We'd done couples trips with my friend and his girlfriend and she'd also hung out with him tons because he was around me so much. I didn't think anything of it because their relationship never seemed inappropriate. I do remember him saying I was lucky and she was attractive when we first started dating and when I married her, but there were no inappropriate jokes or anything like that. When my wife came back from coffee she seemed a bit off. She was really angry with his ex and said that he deserved better. I remember telling her something like he's young and he'll mend in time, and she seemed very upset by this. She said that he needed time and that whatever girl ended up with him would be very lucky and his ex was a fool to leave him. She was very sparse on details and very vague, but it didn't seem weird to me at that time. It seemed like she was being protective the same way I would be protective of him as my friend. Her behavior started getting stranger after that night. She wasn't doing anything really overt or suspicious, but she was vague about what she was doing. She would say that she's going to see one of her friends or to run an errand. Stuff like that. I'm not a controlling person and she'd never given me a reason to doubt her, so I didn't make an issue out of it. And really at that time I didn't find it so strange. I noticed my friend was being weird too, but I thought it was because of his split and him being depressed. I would invite him to hang out, and he'd turn me down, which was unusual. He never had a reason other than he was busy. I started seeing less and less of him, and when I did see him he was different. I would not say nervous but definitely seemed not to be comfortable. He sent me a message asking me to stop by his house one day. He said we needed to talk about some things and he had to get some stuff off his chest. I drove over there not suspecting anything. I knocked on the door and he came to answer. I tried to make some jokes and light conversation, and he completely ignored me. He asked me to go into the living room and there was my wife sitting on his couch. I don't know if I knew at that moment, but I did feel a sense of dread start to come over me. She started crying almost as soon as I walked in and he jumped right in and told me that there was no easy way to say what he was about to say, but he and my wife were in love and wanted to be together. I stood there completely stunned. I felt like I wasn't even alive for a while. When I started to come back to my senses, they both tried to say how sorry they were and that they both loved me and regretted happening. They told me that this just happened and they never intended for things to turn out like this. They knew they were wrong but it didn't matter because they were in love. They both promised that they had used protection. And that is basically where we are now. Since that day I've gotten more texts from them apologizing and one's from my wife asking if I'm okay and telling me she's here for me and still cares for me, but I mostly ignore them. They aren't as frequent anymore either. She decided to move out of our house. I didn't ask her where she was going, but a friend of mine told me that she moved in with my former friend as soon as she left. That was only a few months ago. She stopped by the house a few days ago to pick up some things. I tried to avoid her, but then she asked me if I had a second. She told me that she and my former friend are trying to get pregnant. She wanted to give me a heads up so that we can deal with it as we go through our divorce. She also wanted to tell me personally because she felt like I deserved to know and hear it from her. It hurt so much to hear how she's already moving on. We wanted to have children together, but she wanted to wait until she turned 30. Now he's going to get to be the father to her children and I'm going to have to watch her carry his child.